question. What does it feel like to be your age in your late 70s?
What's it feel like to be
Your age?
yeah. To be honest, I don't feel my age, which is very fortunate. And do you want to qualify that a bit?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
Because I feel that if you try and keep young in mind and spirit and all the rest of it, that helps you. In your later years.
Yeah.
I mean, as we discussed this before, I mean, things I want to do and get done and all that sort of thing. I've got a lot of things I want to do. And, so, I don't feel the burden of old age. Okay, there are times when walking uphill will get a bit tough. And I spend my energy a bit more carefully when I'm doing things outside in the garden and so on. And I rather wanted to be able to climb one of those mountains near the cottage in Wales, which you can see from the cottage there, but I'm not sure that I'll ever get up there now.
Yeah.
3,000 foot one. I don't think it would be good to my heart anyhow.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I think I would now find it a bit frightening.
Yeah.
Okay, is that sort of fine? Have I answered the question?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. So how does it differ now from when you were younger, say?
Right. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't differ. It doesn't differ.
Okay.
I still feel the person I was when I was 40.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Well, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been hospitalised 1 or 2 times and all that sort of thing, but that, I was getting, I got back to my former self, pre-hospital and pre-operation and all that sort of stuff, so, no, I don't feel any difference.
Okay. So, we're talking about the next stage of your life, so how will you know when you get to the next stage? I guess being older.
When I get to the next stage, well, I suppose it's possibly failing sight, failing hearing, failing the inability to walk much further than a few hundred yards, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it'll be physical things.
Sorry?
It'll be something that affects you physically that indicates that change, yeah.
There will be physical manifestations which will occur. But I'm not thinking about that.
No, I shouldn't, no. You meet people who, I'm thinking one particular person, I think I mentioned this before to you, there was a guy who was a labourer at McConnell's. Yeah.
And I remember seeing him standing in an open doorway in quite close to the centre of Ludlow, outside a little cottage. And there he was, looking away and looking bored to tears. And, I think it's terribly important to have a positive mental attitude.
So why did you mention this person in the doorway?
Well, because I think an example of somebody who obviously wasn't coping with his retirement.
What made you think he wasn't coping?
Well, I just observed, that was all.
Yeah.
Just an observation. But probably not related to his situation, so I'd forget that one.
Yeah, but maybe there are other examples you can think of that...
Other examples?
That the people who've maybe retired and haven't...
Yes. I mean, there are some people who say that they must retire to sheltered accommodation long before they actually need to do so. And I can think of 2 examples, 2 quite good examples.
Really? Okay.
One lady who lived in the barn that felt she had to move into sheltered accommodation because she was giving up a car because she couldn't afford it. Therefore, she had to move into the sheltered accommodation, and it seemed wrong to us.
Yeah.
Joe Brown's mum, Joyce, who used to live in the village, same thing. And we thought that was so wrong because she's a very active woman, full of
Yeah, well, you know, okay, she's had various hip and knee replacements, but that's not stopped her being a very feisty sort of lady, you know. Seems so wrong. So there are a couple of examples of what I don't want to do and the mum doesn't want to do.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
Right.
What is common between you and other people of your age?
What's common?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose possibly sort of health problems, I suppose.
Yeah.
I can think of quite a few people our age are not as healthy as we are. I would say health, but in terms of interaction, interests, I would say I can't. I'm going up a creek without a paddle. It's a dead end, so I'll forget that one.
Okay, so what other things that you might have in common with people? Hang on. So what is common between? Hang on.
The white one.
Right.
No, that's it. No, that is the right question. It's just worded strangely. Any cultural things, I suppose you could say, or?
Oh yes. Well, for example, a lot of us have a common interest in local history.
Yeah.
Because a lot of I would say nearly all our friends are members of the History Society.
Yeah.
So having a common interest in local history, and that's definitely one thing. Mum and I are particularly interested in following politics, in particular the NHS,
Yeah.
which we think is heading towards disaster. If these laws are passed in Parliament, we like to keep our finger on the political pulse, if you like to put it that way.
Yeah.
And I think possibly we are a bit of an exception.
Yeah.
We don't talk politics much with our friends.
Yeah. Really. Is that because they have a different viewpoint than yourselves? Do you think?
It could be possibly. But I don't think I even know what our friends' political opinions are.
Yeah. So you don't even go that far with them. Okay.
Nothing in common. I suppose we have a fairly strong sense of justice.
Yeah.
I hope we can. That might be a good point.
Yeah.
Which I don't think a good sense of right and wrong, which we possibly think that
school, they're wise otherwise.
don't possess. That might be a point to make.
Okay. Right, we'll go on to a new question. What are the advantages and disadvantages of being your age, and what can and can't you do that you could or couldn't do before?
Right, okay. Well, the advantages are that because of the length of life we've led, we have what I think is a good sense of perspective, in that we could have said, well, we could have told you that happened 20 years ago and it was a mess.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I think an accumulated wisdom, I would have thought, would probably a point in our favour. But on the other hand, equally, we could be rather pig-headed and opinionated. I hope we're not. But that's something to bear in mind. You know, it's the angry old man, angry old woman sort of thing, but I hope we're not. A good point was made by Lord Baker. I mentioned Super Talking Radio the other day, Wednesday, and he said that as people get older, they should become actively engaged in doing things, A, and B, they should mix with younger people. I think that's extremely good advice. And he himself, you know, he's a peer. He was a minister in the Conservative government.
Yeah.
And he leads an active life. I know he's younger than us, but he leads an active life. And that's what we do ourselves. Not conscious of doing it, but we just have lots of things to do.
What could you do before that you can't? What can you do now that you couldn't do before, do you think, as a result of this accumulation of years?
I would suggest that we can offer good advice to other people, which we hope might be helpful. Let them we could occasionally do so.
Yeah.
Because of this perspective of a long life.
Yeah. And what about things that you can't do, that you could do?
Things we can't do? Oh, that's another question. Well, I suppose, to some extent, I'm thinking myself now, not the mental, physical limitations.
Yeah.
But I personally don't find that there's anything that I can't do now that I could do before. I mean, sex rears its ugly head, of course, but I can't do anything of that because I'm taking a treatment which sort of, you know, in extremis gives you breast, a falsetto voice, and no erection. But there we are.
Yeah.
We talked about this before.
Sure.
But I'm beginning to get the stone. I don't miss it actually.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I did to start with.
Yeah. I guess your drive goes with it, I suppose.
Yes, it does. It diminishes, certainly, yes. Yeah. I'm not to say now, although I regret it, I can manage without it.
Yeah.
I got something in the post this morning from a firm in Jersey promising steel hard erections in seconds. And I sent it back to them saying, please don't send it anymore. I did at one stage take something, but it wasn't that product.
Right, okay.
Well, you know, a purple thing.
Oh, okay.
Which worked.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Anything else you couldn't do, you can't do now that you said there's nothing, so...
No, I mean, walking long distances, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to do long walks anymore. There's no reason why I can't do short ones.
And that's more relating to your heart.
And I suppose like a energy and
Yeah.
so on, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I'll move on to the next question.
Right.
How do people view you in your age?
Well, I hope favourably, but I can't be right about that.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody meets me casually, I might be an old bugger, you know, or an old geezer. What's he going on about? All that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I can't tell really because their opinion is theirs. I mean, I try to be polite and forthcoming and helpful and engage in conversation with anybody, you know, you happen to meet in the street or in the queue or in the hospital waiting room or,
Yeah.
you know, all that sort of thing. Just to repeat the question just in case I missed something.
How do people view you in your age?
Yeah. Well, I find that difficult to answer because, you know, I'm not them.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit difficult to be a third person in a situation, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, nobody ever said to my face, made any derogatory remarks to me that I can think of.
Yeah.
But what people think of me behind my back is another matter.
Well, it does it automatically when you hit the record button.
Okay, next question. Only two more to go.
Fine. Alright.
When you get unwell,
Yeah.
how do you deal with it, stroke think about it?
The Yorkshire
down somewhere.
How do I deal with it?
And think,
somewhere.
and think about
I
it.
don't regard, I always regard this as
Or a bus conductor
Oh, hang on.
open the doors. Morning day, you know.
Say
all
again,
sorts of
please.
stuff.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. It's fantastic.
Yes, I do feel unwell, and I've had several occasions in the last couple of years or so. I regard it as temporary setback.
I think we're going to lose our lovely lights.
So far, that's mostly the case.
Sorry.
I think we're going to lose our lovely light. All the clouds are coming in.
And how do you think about it?
How do I think about it?
Musical being there.
Well, I don't think I'm going to go on forever because that's pointless in thinking that. But I feel that I've got a lot of life left yet.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I intend to use it.
Hmm.
I mean, I would love to. I would love to take a holiday and drive down to the west coast of France again. But I can't seem being allowed to do that. The other thing being that I've always wanted to do that. A leisurely stop down in a bar, stop somewhere, sniff the local atmosphere, and go and have an house meal, some all that sort of stuff. But I've never been discussed it with them, but that's the sort of thing I'd like to do. But I'd like to go back to America again. I'm sure we will do, at some stage.
Yeah.
What's the case that there's a huge insurance premium you've got to pay, which is much higher than the cost of the pay.
Really?
No lights.
It's disgraceful. It really is.
Really?
I can probably find, if you look on the internet long enough, you'll find something, but
Yeah.
it's unfair. Because, of course, the American health service is so hugely expensive. There's been a big discussion on the radio about this this week. This week we were listening to it with great interest. We have the cheapest national health service in the world.
Yeah.
And the best. So in America, they have a very the reason, of course, in America is because it's run by private healthcare companies who need to make profits and pay shareholders. And they're making huge profits and paying shareholders not enough. It's absolutely wrong. And the problem here is it might happen here. I mean, you'll be involved in all this because you work with the NHS.
Yeah.
The NHS has been savaged by the present government, and it's an absolute disgrace. It really is. Anyhow, I'll get off my hobby horse now.
No, it's good.
And I'll answer the next question.
Okay. This is the last question. What role does music play in your life? So, just have a good think about what it's played in all of your life from what you remember in music, or any effects music has had in your life, any times that music you listen to will take you back to, or when you listen to music, or how often, and the situation. Because you listen to the radio a lot, obviously, don't you? So that might be a good one to start off with. But obviously, you listen to the.
I don't listen to as much music as I would like to.
Why?
I suppose I've been thinking about getting myself a little small thing which would play decent music, because we've got this B&O stuff going back to the 70s. And
Oh, yeah.
I just wonder whether it's worth bothering with, and maybe treat myself, or save some money towards a small sort of two-speaker system, which you can play music and tune into the trouble is, you see, of course, everything's on digital, but hasn't gone digital around here.
Yeah.
The fact that we may never get digital in the area is it's a bit like the NHS. It's between two stools at the moment. It's it's in a mess. But something I look forward to. I mean, I don't listen often, I do, and I think that's your laziness on my part. And I don't have a CD player of my own, that I can, as Mum does, she plays music when she's working, and maybe I ought to have a CD player that's small enough to move around, and I can listen to it in the dining room where I am now, or when I'm using my computer. But of course, put a music CD in my computer and play it while I'm doing something else, writing or emailing or something like that. And that's something I really thought I must do, pick up a disc and pop them in. Because it will play music, and but only through rather tiny little speakers on the front of the eMac, but better than nothing.
So what mute?
So going back to earlier, it played a bigger part when I was younger.
Yeah.
In that I I listened to music on a regular basis when I was at school. Went to the odd concert, but not as many as I should have done, orchestral concerts and that sort of thing. I think possibly I've been intellectually lazy by not seeking out more music and going and listening to it. For example, there's the Treorchy Male Voice Choir, which is a wonderful Welsh mining choir, something like that. They're playing in Knighton in May, and we've been offered, they say buy tickets now by one of the organisers, and I'd like to go. What better place to listen to male voice choir in Wales?
Yeah, you should go.
No, I think it's £12 a ticket, and I'm sure it's a bit expensive, but I mean, they've got to come up from Treorchy, they've got to bring, piano music, all the rest of it. So,
you know what? I think you should just treat yourself.
I think you're right.
I think it'd be an amazing experience, and the thing is, you can't put a price on music.
No, you're absolutely right.
You can't put your price on. I can't put a price on, especially live music. When there'll be quite a lot of people there. There'll be at least 20 people or so in the choir, won't there?
Yeah, there'll be 30, 40 probably.
Really, and that'll be
The other thing is, we have a Leinster Festival, we have a Ludlow Festival, and we seem not managed to not go to either of them, and they're always musical things. I quite like jazz, and I quite like to go to. I think possibly I've got to strike out my own and follow my own instincts. You're quite right, and I thank you for that advice.
Well, I can come with you. I like jazz, and I can come with you. So always bear that in mind.
Okay, all right. Well, bear that in mind, Marcus. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has that answered the last question? Do you think? I think I'd like to hear more music.
Yeah.
Sports.
And it played more of a role in your life when you were younger. You say?
I did, yes. It was provided on a plate because I was at a school where a lot of music was played, But that's where my interest in modern classical music. People like, they're no longer modern, but Benjamin Britten and Paul Williams, William Walton, people like that who were sort of regarded 50 years ago as being quite, fairly modern, even though they were established by then. And I love that sort of music.
Yeah.
I don't think Mum likes it as much, actually. But anyhow, there we are.
So at what point then would you say music was most important in your life?
I would say my late teens, early 20s.
And that would have been what kind of music?
Mostly classical.
Right. What?
Rock,
okay.
And a bit of jazz.
Okay. And what kind of jazz?
But I never actually set out to go and listen to jazz music.
No.
I must confess. I think possibly I've been intellectually lazy over the years, and it's to my detriment. So maybe I should catch up. You're quite right.
Well, it's never too late to try again, and to revisit these passions in life. It's never too late to revisit these passions in life.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So what kind of jazz do you like? I know you like. Who is it who we went to see play in Ludlow Cathedral? Ludlow School Church.
Oh yes. That was the guy who. Well, there were two actually. I can't remember the names now.
There was a trumpet player.
Yeah, a trumpet player. God, I can't remember his name. He was a bit of a contortionist. He played his trumpet between his legs and stuff like that. Sort of blowing upside down.
I remember him taking long.
Black chap, but it was wonderful.
No, he wasn't black. He was a white guy. This guy.
Oh right. Well, in that case, that was the man who has a jazz club in London. He's died now.
Oh, Ronnie. It was Ronnie Scott.
Ronnie Scott. Yeah, Ronnie Scott.
I thought it was Ronnie Scott. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember him turning his back on the audience quite a lot, and not. I remember during the concert. I just have a really strong memory of him turning his back to the audience quite a lot, and I don't know what he was doing, coughing or getting his tone right or practicing, or I don't know, but he'd do a lot of nothing and then come to the mic and play again, and then sort of.
Yeah. The other thing, I've been to Humphrey Lyttelton during the festival. That's another.
Oh yeah.
He bought a CD and he signed it for us. I had a little chat with him. He's a lovely man. And there's a big band that comes down from Wrexham. I like big band music.
Okay.
Somebody called Stan Stones or something like that, and I went to their concert once at the festival.
Okay.
That was outside the festival. It was in the yard of the pub on the top of the hill there.
Yeah. Okay.
The boy covered it. Not much name at the moment, but I don't frequent pubs now because I don't drink booze.
Yeah.
Not that I did frequented pubs much anyhow.
No, not really.
Not all I keen on beer, actually. The sight of a pint of beer, which rather daunts me.
Yeah.
Did do. Always did.
Yeah.
But I used to drink cars.
Okay. Still, what did you drink in the sun when we went there?
Sorry?
What did you drink in the sun when we went there last time?
I think I did have a beer, actually, because I'm not absolutely teetotal, but
Yeah.
because of what the health people, the consultants and people, they kept saying how much you drink a day, and they thought it might have contributed to my pancreatitis.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think so, and the children are 200 different ways of getting pancreatitis. That was very top of their agenda every time. The people come along, clipboard and ask you questions and make notes and what's your age and blah blah usual stuff, And that was always a question: how much you drink a day?
Yeah.
And the answer always was one small wine glass full of red wine.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Okay, that's been great.
Good.
Yes, brilliant.
If you've got any more questions, Marcus, just give me a ring anytime you like.